So there's been plenty of rumors going around about the IndyCar series that they are going to return to South America and race in Argentina, whether it be an exhibition race or a points-paying race. But in the early 2010s, IndyCar would take to the streets of Sao Paulo, Brazil for the Sao Paulo Indy 300. This would be the fourth round on the 2013 IndyCar series calendar, and the race would take place on May 5th. The last race on the schedule before the month of May and Indy 500 festivities would kick off. This 2.5-mile street course features tight turns and long straightaways, making it tricky for the teams to find the proper balance for their setup. Ryan Hunter-Reay would put his Andretti DHL Chevy on pole for the race. 2013 would be the fourth and final year of the Sao Paulo 300, with Will Power coming into this race winning the previous three, so he was trying to make it 4 in a row here.
We're getting ready to go racing the Sao Paulo Indy 300 with the series champion on the pole, Ryan Hunter-Reay. Good clean start. EJ Viso, can he hold off Dario Franchitti for second? No, Dario pushes his way through.
EJ Viso got absolutely snookered there by his teammate on the start, had to give up a position going through that first chicane. Amazingly, they're all getting through there clean.
Big changes to turns 1 and 2, particularly turn 2, widening it some 10 feet, and that has proved to be a positive move.
A pretty clean start there, as Lee Diffie mentioned that turn 2 was widened, as some of the previous year's races had a lot of chaos going into turn number 1, but here everyone was able to get through relatively clean. The first yellow flag of the race would come out during a commercial break after only 6 green flag laps. It was not a major incident, as the number 18 Dale Coyne car of Anna Beatrice came to a stop on the track with a gearbox failure. We would see some split pit strategy here, as some guys further back in the field, such as Will Power and Helio Castroneves, would take advantage of this yellow and come in and make an early pit stop. But all the guys up front would stay out on the racetrack.
One of the things I'm watching here, guys, is when you grid up 2x2 on a restart, the guys on the inside, Dario's lane, they pick up a bunch of junk on the tires. It makes it really hard getting on the power on this main straightaway.
We'll see how that affects, and also Ryan Hunter-Reay has the inside run down into the turn 1-2 complex green. We're back to racing in Sao Paulo. Look at Tony Kanaan in the red car, forceful at home. He wants to win here in Sao Paulo, and listen to the crowd.
Takuma Sato forcing the issue up the inside there. They're too wide. He's next to Simona going through. Great job for TK.
Remember, Kanaan is driving injured. He cannot use that thumb. That right hand is incredibly sore. It's going to take some 8 weeks to heal. He's driving on emotion. He's driving with adrenaline.
Tony Kanaan is stronger with one arm than most drivers in the series with two. He's got giant, almost gorilla forearms.
And he's on the alternates, the red sidewall Firestone, so at least initially when you go back to green, he should be really racy like we saw earlier with Dario Franchitti.
Just back there, Viso and Sato both on the push-to-pass button on that long back straightaway.
Can you imagine if Tony Kanaan can win in his 200th consecutive open wheel start? That is incredible. His team boss, Jimmy Vasser, has 211, and Jimmy said, I'd like nobody more than TK to beat my record. But today, to have his 200th at home, where he grew up, this could be a really special day for Kanaan.
No question. EJ Viso started second in this race,
Oh,
currently
Kanaan,
all the
here
way
he
back in
comes.
5th. TK making a look.
Inside for Tony Kanaan on Ryan Hunter-Reay. He does it. He gives the crowd what they came here to see. Down the main straight. Just listen when they come back into this complex.
But I don't know if Ryan Hunter-Reay is going to let him go for long. He's got a nice toe here. He pops back out to the inside, decides to tuck back in. Crowd is on their feet going crazy.
One of the home country favorites, Tony Kanaan, takes the lead from Ryan Hunter-Reay with those softer alternate tires. As the broadcast mentioned, TK is driving injured. He got in an accident the previous race at Long Beach and ended up dislocating that thumb when he hit the barrier. Some medical staff did everything they possibly could to make sure TK was ready to race and not miss any time. And judging by his driving right there, you would never know that he couldn't use his thumb to drive that race car. Although the broadcast did not show it at first, some of those guys that pitted further back had a little difficulties in turn 1 on this restart, and not everyone got through so cleanly.
Bit of replay looking back to see Will Power again on the brakes, and looks like he's headed right for Tagliani. Again, having a hard time getting that car. Oh, it was contact between his teammate Castroneves behind.
Broken front wing on Helio Castroneves' car.
Interesting to watch how Will Power twice now has had issues locking up the front brakes.
Oh, 3 wide started this.
On board with Elio, that was Tagliani out to the right. Elio arrives fast on the scene.
How?
And runs into the back of his teammate. This is what it looked like for Graham Rahal.
Wow, talk about all of a sudden that accordion effect that they stop in a hurry.
Although he made contact with his teammate on that restart, Will Power was charging through the field, but unfortunately his day would come to an end as he'd have to pull over and climb out of his race car as he suffered an engine fire that would end up dashing the hopes of 4 consecutive wins in Sao Paulo. He would be the second retirement of the race, and surprisingly from here, every other car that's currently on the racetrack still would make it to the checkered flag. This yellow flag would give the opportunity for the leaders and the majority of the rest of the field to all hit pit road to get 4 tires and fuel and adjustments, but some of those guys that pitted on the previous caution would stay out on the racetrack, and the result of that would hand Sebastian Bourdais the lead of the race.
What's Bourdais got? What's Team Barracuda Racing got in Tagliani at the front, set for this restart, end of the second yellow. Let's go racing in Brazil. Good for Bourdais. Watch for Castro Neves on the inside of Tagliani. Gets that spot. Big lock up. Elio blows it. Elio blows turn 1.
That's James Jakes into the tires. His teammate Graham Rahal stuck behind him, trying to push him out of the way. Ed Carpenter into the fence.
Wall. We're going to see another yellow. Rahal going nowhere. Jakes was into the tire wall. And Elio Castro Neves just bit off a little more than he could chew, heading down into turn 1.
Caution is out.
With that initial start of the race being so clean and promising, it seems like every restart it just gets worse and worse in turn number 1, as the field did not make it through cleanly, bringing out the third caution of the race immediately due to Ed Carpenter and Graham Rahal stalled on the racetrack after making contact.
And this was a little late in the going. There goes Castro Neves.
And Bourdais absolutely clobbers the tires there. I wonder if he's got any damage. And then James Jakes just kind of pushes him on through, trying to get him out of the way, stalls the car. I think the anti-stall system kicked in at that point, puts him in neutral. He put it back in gear and got going, not before Graham gave him a little bit of a nudge saying, dude, come on, get out of the way.
Ooh, Jakes ran over a big piece of debris there. Here's Rahal.
So Graham gets a good jump on the outside, but now he's 3 wide on the outside.
Oh, wow. Look at
and
Jakes comes up, and boy, Graham had absolutely no place to go.
On board here with James Jakes.
Now watch how late he breaks.
I'm looking for a hole.
Oh, right under Ray. 4 wide.
Yeah, that was a little too deep. He came shooting across 3 bows, I think.
All the drivers would continue here, and despite leader Sebastian Bourdais making contact with the tires, he did stay out on the racetrack and would lead the field to the green once again for this restart.
Well, time for a restart. Let's see if we can keep it clean this time as we go back to racing on the streets of Sao Paulo.
A much closer restart. Tagliani not losing quite as much, but still Newgarden looking inside.
Charlie Kimball contact there with Bourdais. Newgarden got into Bourdais. Oh, Charlie Kimball's around goes Elio Castro Neves. Elio has been spun.
Castro Neves, I believe, getting a little help from Scott Dixon, but somebody might have been behind Elio, pushing him over in front of Dixon.
And it continues to look good for Ryan Hunter-Reay. Third car in shot, the yellow one, the DHL Andretti Autosport machine up there.
You have to wonder whether Sebastian Bourdais has any damage. He's been knocked around 2 consecutive restarts.
Another eventful restart here with lots of contact, but this time no one got into the wall or anything or stalled their car. Elio Castro Neves got spun around, but he was able to keep the engine running and was able to continue on with the rest of the pack.
Watching here, the guys get bundled up at the start there. What that causes is a little bit of an accordion effect. Castro Neves comes out, looks to go around Pagano, doesn't realize Dixon's right there on his inside right rear.
Watch Scott Dixon take evasive action from the blue and white HP car of Simon Pagano. This is on board Castro Neves. Watch to your right, up ahead. Castro Neves has to take evasive action. Dixon's there. There was no malice in that. It was not intentional. It was just one of those accordion effects, but sideways accordion.
On board with TK, I'm sure he's paranoid about that right hand getting any damage on these restarts. lucky he gets a clean run through there.
As the broadcast is returning from a commercial break on lap 34, Takuma Sato would make this move on Ryan Hunter-Reay to take over the lead of the race, as Ryan Hunter-Reay initially inherited the lead of the race because on lap 33, leader Sebastian Bourdais and several others that stayed out on those last couple of yellow flags would all have to come down pit road for fuel and tires. So essentially at this point you had two separate strategies going on in the race, and we just kind of had to wait and see how cautions land and stuff like that to see which one is the better one to be on. On lap 37 we would see the yellow flag fly once again as Graham Rahal found trouble in turns 1 and 2 for essentially the third time here, leaving a piece of his front wing on the racetrack right in the groove, giving the officials no choice but to throw the yellow flag for debris. As that full course caution was waved and the field was coming around to catch up to the pace car, Sato elected to hit pit road right away and get 4 tires and fuel, going on an alternate strategy from Ryan Hunter-Reay, who stayed out on the racetrack and inherited the lead once again.
Seeing green one more time. Is this going to be Ryan Hunter-Reay's day from pole to victory? We're into the second half of this race, and Hunter-Reay, massive lock up into turn 1. He holds on to it though. Nice work.
He's got to be so careful not to do what Graham Rahal did. He had to get off the pedal and make that first apex so he doesn't plow into the tires.
Castro Neves tries to go around the outside further back in the pack. Good restart from Simona Di Silvestro and Oriol Servia.
Yeah, Servia, wow.
That black and green car right there. Remember, oh, here comes Marco Andretti on the brakes.
No.
Hold on to it. He just gave Oriol Servia a heart attack and has pulled off the move.
And Servia doesn't want to give it up. He hangs in there. There's a left-hander coming up. Servia's got the position.
Has position. Nicely done, Servia. Don't give up.
Even though it's forceful driving, it was respectful driving because they were giving each other room. Well done.
I don't know that it was very respectful by Marco Andretti. I think it was Servia.
That was hopeful.
A multi-year veteran seen smoke and red and blue in his mirror and said, whoa, baby.
They hung on to it. Oh, no. Bourdais, Castro Neves,
no.
Hildebrand. That is not good.
Where are they? They're on the racetrack, I guess.
Kimball is into it as well.
Oh, there's Pagano.
How did this happen?
The track will be blocked here. They're going to have to hustle these safety workers to get these guys going. Castro Neves still running.
And the yellow flag would come out quickly once again. This time everyone survived turns 1 and 2, but the melee would happen in turn 8 and they would not be able to complete one lap under green.
Let's watch this replay. There's Bourdais getting into the back of Castro Neves, who looked like he had already had contact with somebody else.
And he couldn't turn.
Couldn't turn the car.
On board with Pagano. Here,
he tries to go around the outside.
And poor Pagano just saw the road end in front of him, nowhere to go.
You could hear the contact up front, and then, of course, the contact from behind for Bourdais.
All of the drivers involved here would continue, and none of the leaders would hit pit road under this yellow. Ryan Hunter-Reay would lead the field back to green once again.
TK versus Hunter-Reay.
Remember, we've seen it so many times before. Hunter-Reay had a massive lockup the time previous. Can he keep it smooth? You see from above, he gets a good start. Kanaan on the outside, Franchitti and Servia down into turn 1. A lot smoother that time. Servia tries to keep Marco Andretti at bay. Andretti gets an inside run. Look at the yellow and blue car. Marco is up to 4th. Good, strong, pushing hard. And he and Servia still going at it.
As the field looked to conclude the first lap after the restart, going into the final turn, Tony Kanaan would make this awesome move around Ryan Hunter-Reay to take over the lead of the race once again, giving his home country fans in Brazil something to cheer about as he roared down the front straightaway. However, the very next lap in the same corner of the racetrack, Marco Andretti, who's absolutely tearing through the field since this restart, would make the move on TK and he would take over the lead of the race. And at the conclusion of this lap, Ryan Hunter-Reay, who basically started sinking like a rock since the restart, would come in for 4 fresh tires and fuel in hopes to make it to the end of the race from here. The 6th caution of the race would come out when Tony Kanaan, who was having such an awesome, promising day in front of his home country fans, would come to a halt on the front straightaway as his team miscalculated his fuel consumption and he would actually run out of fuel just before making it back to the pits. This would also cause several drivers to race to pit road, as everyone knew that a full course caution was going to come out, with Tony Kanaan stranded in the middle of the front straightaway. So basically everyone tried to take advantage of that and get their pit stop done so they can try to make it to the end of the race. This would shake up the order significantly, giving J.R. Hildebrand, who was in that accident earlier in turn 8, the lead of the race. However, he could not make it to the end from here on fuel, and he would start alongside Graham Rahal, who's 4 laps down, as he was desperately trying to claw some laps back.
So this is interesting. We've got J.R. Hildebrand on pole for the restart, and Graham Rahal with a repaired.
But he's down laps.
IndyCar is going to be down laps.
He's down laps.
He's going to be up front, but there's nowhere for these guys to hide, Jan. Here's the restart.
Watch for the teammates to go at it. Hinchcliffe and Andretti. Watch the green car and the blue and red car on the second row at the restart. Andretti's got the inside run. He's right behind Hildebrand. Rahal's on the outside.
But look at Sato. Sato looking for his 2nd consecutive win. Gets Marco on the restart.
And Hinchcliffe was stronger there. He tucked into 3rd. There he goes. Sato, nice work.
This restart would last only 2 laps before James Jakes gets into the outside wall and Justin Wilson buries his car into the tire barriers, forcing officials to throw the full course caution once again. This would bring J.R. Hildebrand to pit road so he can make it to the end of the race, giving the lead to Takuma Sato as he looks to try to finish this one off and win 2 consecutive races in a row for AJ Foyt.
We're back just in time for the restart with 2 winners in 2013 on the front row to see this green flag first. James Hinchcliffe in the green car up against Takuma Sato, but it's the Japanese driver who gets the jump. Newgarden's in there mixing it up with him and gets 2nd. Pushes through. Joseph Newgarden, great restart. All clean through turns 1 and 2.
Clearly ignoring the advice from the team to be conservative. Joseph Newgarden can see one more car and then clear sailing. He is going for it. Let's see what happens here.
He's still after it.
Sarah Fisher-Hartman Racing is vying for the win in this race. And look at this, behind him, Simon Pagenaud goes around Hinch.
On the outside.
Pagenaud's had such a hard day, such a tough race, but he's hanging tough, he's hanging in there.
Now, these final 16 laps of the race would be the longest green flag running of the entire day, but it wasn't just a sprint to the end. A lot of these guys had to conserve fuel if they wanted to see the checkered flag without coming back to pit road. So you're going to see a lot of comers and goers here, as we saw Joseph Newgarden charge to 2nd place, trying to challenge Takuma Sato for the lead, while James Hinchcliffe, who restarted on the front row, slid back to the 4th position. Throughout the course of this run, Takuma Sato was trying desperately to hold off Joseph Newgarden, who was putting immense pressure on him, but Sato was successfully defending his lead. As a result of this battle though, both drivers were using up their push to pass, as both of them had only 1 left with these 4 laps remaining, but because of them battling, James Hinchcliffe was able to reel them both in, and going down that very long back straightaway with the draft and push to pass, he would be able to get by Joseph Newgarden with relatively ease and set his sights on Takuma Sato.
For the lead of the race, Hinchcliffe's on the push to pass, goes to
Oh,
the inside,
Sato! He does it again!
And he moves back again. Playing tough with the mayor of Hinchtown. Hinch may have the momentum though.
And Hinch is playing tough right back, fading over to him on the straightaway, saying, hey buddy, back off, I'm coming through, but Sato's having none of that.
What will race control have to say about that?
Sato is out of push to passes with 3 laps to go. Hinch has 1, Newgarden has 1.
James Hinchcliffe now tries to pull out of the draft and just hassle, just annoy, just pressure Takuma Sato. But Newgarden goes to the inside. Joseph Newgarden to the inside. It was 3 wide at one point.
And it could be 3 wide coming to turn 1.
He moves up into 2nd place. The white flag out, 1 to go. Hinchcliffe responds. Hinch comes back to 2nd. Wow, Sato maintains his lead. Hinchcliffe, Newgarden and Marco Andretti vying for his first podium of the year. It's all to play for on this final lap. And
everybody's
on it.
Everybody's burning their button. Hinch is on the button. He's got the inside. Sato says no again.
Chops him again.
Hinchcliffe, did he do it early enough for Hinch to have a run? Newgarden's out of the draft. Sato hangs onto it. Newgarden on the inside of Andretti. And on the inside, Hinchcliffe has done the over and under. Oh, he is in the mayor's office. James Hinchcliffe runs it to the line. Will he have enough? And he wins his second one.
Servia the fourth.
On the final corner, on the final lap, James Hinchcliffe is a winner again. How about that?
What an incredible finish. Last lap, last turn pass for the win. Takuma Sato was doing everything he possibly could. He knew he was at a disadvantage there with no push to pass left. Well, James Hinchcliffe managed it perfect, had one left for that last lap and that long back straightaway to get a run. Sato knew what he was doing to defend, but just went in there a little bit too deep, had a little bit of oversteer, and Hinch was able to get to the inside and steal the win away from him in incredible fashion. And it wasn't even just these two in the fight for the win. The pack was pretty tight there with the top 5. Any one of those guys could have stole the win if someone made a mistake up front. This would end up being the final race in Sao Paulo, but it will definitely go down in history as a true IndyCar classic with such an incredible finish to the race. Well, that's going to do it for this one. I hope you guys enjoyed that. If you're new here and enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. I upload every Tuesday with some great motorsports history content just like this. So I hope to see you guys in next week's video. That's all for now. Take care, everybody.